That's it. Live. All right, I'm going to try this again. If it messes up, I will abandon this tool. We go back to the old way. The ways of old. Bam.
Notification that we're live.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another slightly delayed stream. But we're back. With some fun. And you know, because you can't go 2 to 3 days without something more ridiculous happening.
So much happens that you kind of forget things.
It's super easy to forget. Like, I was reminded the other day, this has nothing to do with anything, but about the UFO videos that the Pentagon released back in, I think, February.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they came out and, well, I guess you can't really confirm UFOs, right? Because then,
I mean,
they're just UFOs.
I mean, if you go, oh boy. I mean, it depends how, like, to what macro level you decide to go to. Like, if I look up and see something in the sky and I don't know what it is, it's technically a UFO to me. No, just
yeah.
I know.
Like,
I know.
You can't come out and confirm because then it's still just a UFO. Right?
Yeah, they didn't confirm aliens, so they confirmed UFOs.
And then apparently, I saw another post recently. I don't know the I guess how valid it is. But that the CIA, or not the CIA, it might have been the CIA, confirmed that we are living in an ascended hologram and that it's possible to astral project. And then
I think it's possible.
Someone was like, we need proof, and they actually like posted like a Google Docs of like apparently an official statement saying that that's true.
Have you ever seen The Men Who Stare at Goats?
Mm-hmm.
I love that movie.
I liked it. I feel like it kind of really petered out like midway.
Yeah, it's longer than it needs to be.
Yeah.
It has like this kind of motion, like McDonald's arches. Like, it's like good, what? Good.
Yeah. That's with George Clooney.
Yeah, George
and,
Clooney. I don't know.
Obi-Wan?
Is it Ewan McGregor?
I think it is.
No.
I think it is.
Well,
it's either Ewan McGregor or Matt Damon.
It's not Matt Damon.
Okay, then it's for sure Ewan McGregor. Then
I know that for a fact. It's probably Matt Damon. I'm gonna look it up now, and I'm gonna look like a total fool.
Oh, here's something I was thinking about.
Hit me, my good sir.
Do you ever watch or read Current Affairs? They're a leftist magazine.
Which one?
Current Affairs.
Current Affairs. I don't think so, but I catch articles and whatnot by them sometimes.
Yeah. And then Nathan, the editor of Current Affairs, he does like a YouTube channel.
It was Obi-Wan, by the way. Go ahead.
It was Ewan McGregor?
Yeah,
I told you. Fucking, my brain's a steel trap, bro. I'll never forget.
Not me.
And I haven't seen that movie in forever. I haven't even thought about it.
I love that movie. Go ahead.
But basically, he wrote an article kind of talking trash about The Hill Rising with Crystal Ball and Sager. Is that his? What is his name? Some Sager.
Sager and Jetty.
I
probably said that wrong.
No, I think that's right. Basically, you know the premise of that show, right?
Right.
Where they're essentially populists, but on both sides of the aisle. Crystal Ball is a left-wing populist, and Sager is a right-wing populist. And the title of the Current Affairs article was, "Isn't right-wing populism just fascism?" And it was just kind of talking about how The Hill, which is owned by like a friend of Trump's, is actually sort of like this insidious kind of way to make right-wing populist candidates look more appealing than establishment Democrats. Mm-hmm. So making like someone like Donald Trump look better than someone like Joe Biden.
Well, I don't think that's. How do I?
And Sager consistently cites Tucker Carlson as like an inspiration. Like he really likes Tucker Carlson, and Tucker Carlson is like a white nationalist fascist.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's. I'm not thinking that like Crystal Ball is in on it or anything like that. Like, cause she seems, for all intents and purposes, seems like a really legitimate,
right,
good ally. But the fact that she's on that show with him, and
well, see this, I think I get what you're kind of getting at. Like,
in like where it's like when you put them together, you're almost making it seem as though these are both valid positions to hold,
right?
See,
and I do catch glimpses of the show, as like as the videos come up, and sometimes I'll catch them.
Good night for you in the chat.
I guess I'm on the wrong app here.
What were you saying?
What's going on here? My thing went all kinds of crazy. Okay, sorry about that, folks. Yeah, like so, like if I'm understanding what you're kind of getting at here, you're saying like, yeah, by putting them together, sort of negates the entire purpose of the show. Is that kind of what I'm?
No. That putting them together makes it seem as though, I guess, that these are
okay.
These are equally valid positions to hold, being both a left-wing populist and a right-wing populist.
Right. Let's see here. Interesting. Right-wing populists. They tend to be authoritarian nationalists who say the word workers a lot, but are actually deeply xenophobic and militaristic.
Yeah, I think. And so Kyle Kalinske from Secular Talk, he's good friends with them at Rising. And he made a video talking about how Nathan is completely like off the ball with this, and he's real wrong, and it's possible to be like a right wing populist. Mm-hmm. And I really like and respect Kyle Kalinske, but I gotta agree with this article, man. Like, when you think of like a right wing populist, like who comes to mind? Like Donald Trump ran as a right-wing populist, and when you think of like the difference between like a left-wing populist and right-wing populist, you just look at like a Bernie Sanders, like a mild social democrat, versus like an authoritarian fascist,
right?
And it's like these are clearly not equivalent positions,
right? Well, I mean, it just. A lot of it, I think, kind of depends too. Like when you like weigh, like I always kind of looked at it like weighing fake populism versus real populism. Is that?
But every right wing populist is a fake populist.
Yeah,
every single one of them. At a certain,
I don't think can they even exist.
Yeah, to a certain point. Like fool me once, shame on me. Fool me every single time. That's not the fool me once, shame on you.
Yeah, fool
me a bunch of times, shame on me.
Right.
Where it's like, yeah, there is no. I don't feel like there is a way to be a right wing populist, because Kyle's definition of a right wing populist was somebody who agrees on economic issues, but disagrees on maybe social issues like trans issues or they're pro life.
Been like conservatism versus liberalism at the core of that. It's kind of the same.
Well, he was saying that a right wing populist would be somebody who maybe believed in something like Medicare for all, but like didn't believe in maybe like LGBT rights. Where it's like, I don't.
This is I'm gonna save this. I definitely want to do a dive into this.
Yeah. So it's like,
I get what you're kind of saying,
but that's not really. You can't be like a libertarian who is pro-life,
Right.
Like you.
You
can't like have the state be in charge of what you can do with your body and still call yourself like not authoritarian. You can't be, against like gay marriage, the state telling you who you can love and say that you're not like an authoritarian.
Right.
So I mean, what would right wing populism be?
See, that's what I'm trying to like come up with in my head, because all I can think is because see, I guess I have trouble kind of putting the ideology of that like that down in words, because like arguably, and I think I've said it many times, I mean, Donald Trump ran to the left of everybody in the Republican Party, and to some degree
about certain things,
right,
like about the war.
So I can understand where that comparison comes from, because it's like it's not a meta way of doing things, I guess. Like there's a certain
it's not the establishment way of doing things.
It's not the
it's not the old politician backdoor dealing kind of way, but like the listening to like the will of the people. That's what populism is supposed to be.
I can't feel like when it comes to like right wing populism.
Yeah, how can you be a populist that excludes people? Like, how can you be a populist that's like?
That's either Well, it's a fancy word for liar. It's just a longer way of saying liar.
No, exactly.
But that's what I've always said too about Donald Trump. Is like he's just a liar.
So what do you think about guys like Sager?
See, this is where I really couldn't make it. As of right now, I couldn't really make a judgment because I haven't watched enough of what they do. Like, I catch the highlights and stuff like that, but I haven't seen enough of like where he gets deep into something to know.
Mm-hmm. Like a lot of the stuff that I do watch is like both of them shitting on like Joe Biden, where it's like, like obviously with some low hanging fruit.
Yeah, like do you have an example of like one of his like crazier stances that I wouldn't agree with?
No, I mean I remember you saying that you watch him and you didn't even know that he was like a Republican.
Yeah, like it was hard. Like it's hard to pull it out because at the base level, like when you say like healthcare system is a disaster, I can agree with that.
Yeah,
it's like.
But it's also like sometimes things are just empty words.
Yeah.
Like if you're like, I think that healthcare is like a human right or something, and someone's like, "Oh yeah, I believe in healthcare." It's like, well, what does that mean? Like you believe that healthcare should exist? Yeah, of course, everybody does.
This is one of the things too. I was telling you before we started. I got into an argument with a friend of mine. Mm-hmm. That was one of the things that was said in the discussion was. I do think everybody should have access to healthcare. And then I said, well, then what real change do you want? Because everybody already has access to healthcare. I was like, that's a key word that they throw out there to make it seem like they care.
But it's like, everyone has access to a yacht. Everyone has access to...
I have access to my boss's Corvette.
Yeah, like it doesn't
He doesn't know it, but no.
But that's,
Let's see here.
Those are the kind of like slimy... duplicitous words that politicians like to use.
I'm rolling through Sager's Twitter here. He tweets this out: "Ask any immigrant if they're happy to be here, and we'll all tell you yes." And saying that cultural elites don't feel the same. It's like
what are you saying?
I don't know. Just like where would you like? It's hard. Like I said, without really doing a deep dig.
Yeah.
Like I really.
But I guess I'm not talking about Sager specifically. I'm
Just
talking more about like
yeah.
right-wing populism and what seems to be an inflammatory headline at a glance, isn't right-wing populism just fascism? When you actually think about it, it's like, no, actually, I think he's right. I think he's 100% correct.
Yeah, I would say that the current right-wing movement in the country is fascist by definition. I'd agree with that. Damn, son.
Yeah, especially...
We're both having problems today.
Yeah, no, I'm not on a... I didn't go to bed till like 6 a.m. last night.
Same. I was up late. I celebrated. Shot off some fireworks.
Yeah.
Drank some beer.
But yeah. No, I think definitely the voting base of the right-wing party is currently a little fashy.
Let's see here. Okay, let's look up right-wing populism.
We're gonna look at the definition of it.
Yeah, Wikipedia. Okay. But not.
Yeah, we'll go to the top where it's got the description.
Not Europe. Well, it doesn't have it broken down there. Let's see. The Tea Party movement.
Oh, then yeah, we're done. Yeah, answer the question.
The right-wing anti-systemic populist movement by Rasmussen and Schone in 2010. They add, today our country is in the midst of a new populist revolt that has emerged from the right, manifesting itself as the Tea Party movement. Tea Party movement is a platform for conservative populist discontent. famously associated with such is Senator Ted Cruz and Ron Paul. Fantastic. And let's see here. Freedom Caucus is right-wing populist. Those guys are jokes. Let's see.
So, I mean,
let's see.
Ted Cruz is the worst human being. So
Zodiac.
He's also the Zodiac killer. But yeah, you see what I'm saying, though, right? You see how I'm thinking that Nathan is kind of on the ball with that.
Yeah.
With that assessment. Because you have guys like Tucker Carlson who a lot of times will say things that like make you go, huh, a Fox News host is saying some stuff about like corporate elites and things like that, like stealing sort of populist rhetoric. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, like he is absolutely in favor of that. He benefits from corporate elites.
Right. This is one of the differences it lays out here too. Talking about both object to the control of democracies by elites. However, left populism also objects control of large corporations and their allies, while right populism normally supports this but imposes strong controls on immigration.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so
corporate domination.
They want to strengthen it's like populism, but with like somebody spilled a big jug of conservatism on there it's
essentially arguing for like a corporate aristocracy.
Yeah, corporatocracy.
But like how is that not elite?
Yeah.
Like this idea that it's like the politicians that are like the wealthy elite, and that's like that's not them, it's the people that are paying them.
Correct.
You know?
Class. The haves versus have-nots, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I gotta say, like, I'm not gonna lie, trying to wrap my head around this right-wing populist thing is giving me a headache. Like,
yeah, it's not.
That's a tough one.
Because it's not real.
Yeah, that's
because it's just a tool to mislead the working class into voting you into power.
Mm-hmm. And then, while at the same time calling the other side socialists and communists to discredit their movement.
It's the only real populism.
Yeah.
It's sort of like
and then I think you could use that same thing to kind of like describe how like people like Pete Buttigieg and whatnot who like
those guys are not popular. No. Early he's the guy who presented himself as like I'm a Washington outsider, like I'm not one of these DC elites. I'm from I'm outside the box thinker,
which is what drew him to me in the first place. Like I was like, okay, I can get behind that. And at the time, Bernie wasn't in.
Fuck Pete Buttigieg, that rat fuck.
Oh boy.
Oh wait, I forgot I was supposed to be not cursing anymore.
It's all right. It's all right.
We haven't been monetized yet, so this can't get demonetized.
Actually, they couldn't demonetize us with that content anyway, as long as we're not being ridiculous.
I feel like they can demonetize you if you're cursing.
YouTube, yes, but we're not monetized there. So.
Oh, we probably never will be.
Nope. No, YouTube probably won't be a platform in the near future.
Yeah, you think so?
Probably.
But yeah, no, Pete Buttigieg sucks. Pete Buttigieg sucks. Having his like backdoor wine cellar dinner donor parties.
Sold out. 100%.
Yeah. Sold out. He was always a sellout.
Yeah.
He was always some weird CIA fucking puppet show. Weird. Like he's just a weird guy.
He is an odd feller. It's a real shame too. Like it's just one of those ones. Like I said early on, I was heard his speeches, met him, talked to him in person. I was like, yeah, I could rock behind that. But then he said we shouldn't give healthcare to people because it's not fair to everybody who's already had to pay for it.
Yeah. Oh no, he said that about college.
Oh, that too.
Yeah.
College. Yeah. I don't know. I'm getting all my terrible quotes mixed up. I was talking to some guys a while back,
I think he said something similar with healthcare. He was like, I don't think that we should be, providing healthcare for like the richest among us. Like, and it's the same thing as like Joe Biden recently tweeted, or at least his team tweeted. I don't know if he's capable of tweeting, but they tweeted something like, I believe, or you should vote for me if you believe that healthcare is a human right.
Oh yeah.
But it's like, you don't believe that.
Yeah, you don't.
You don't believe that at all. Like that's just a talking point that you just like shout out.
They passed a. This is funny right here. This is what I think I talk about too when when I tell you that they don't really care about it. Like they passed a expansion to the Affordable Care Act a couple weeks ago that does nothing.
Yeah.
And then they pass it off like, oh look. the other side doesn't care about you because we trying to expand this, but it's not a real expansion. It doesn't do anything.
But that's the whole thing about if something is a human right or whatever. Biden may get more people health care than Donald Trump, but if you have to pay for it, then it's not a right. You have a price point.
Right.
Like if you do that for freedom of speech, even if it was for something like really minuscule, you were like, it costs $1 for freedom of speech.
You have to have a license. You get
and it only costs $1. You just have to go out and do it. It's like then it's not a right anymore, because it's like it will leave somebody out somewhere. If you have a price point, it is not everybody. Somebody will not be able to meet that price point, no matter what you set it at.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is why I've been opposed to expanding the Affordable Care Act, because for that very reason, like, who's regulating it? Like, when you say you're going to bring the cost down, but okay, what cost are you going to bring down? Are you going to bring down the premiums, or are you going to just up the subsidies? Because if you're upping subsidies, which is what this new expansion does, all you're doing is giving them more money to not do their job. And like reading here, the bill would expand subsidies, allowing more people to qualify for coverage. Instead of mandating universal coverage, it would financially squeeze states that have refused to expand Medicaid under the health law, which that's kind of a weird one, because like the states who haven't expanded, what they're actually doing is subsidizing other states that have, so they're already being financially squeezed by not doing it.
Sure.
So I don't know what that means. And empower Medicare to negotiate drug prices. Okay, instead of regulating drug costs. So like, it's just, when you say like, what I said earlier, like access to healthcare, like that's
it's just
it's an empty symbol. Like,
it's just
it kind of harkens back to
double speak politician.
What we talked about before on a soon to be finished uploaded podcast about like negotiating power, and why saying defund the police is a much better term than police reform. Because
because you don't want to start from the middle.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to start
You're not
already
pull them back.
Yeah, if the center is already to the right and then you're arguing for the center position, then you're arguing for a right-wing position.
Right.
Hey, have you seen a lot of your left-leaning friends posting about Joe Jorgensen and voting fucking libertarian because they've been swindled?
I haven't seen it myself, but I've heard about it.
Oh yeah, because all the stuff that's getting shared is like the good stuff, like ending the war on drugs. Like, who doesn't want that? Or pulling troops out of Afghanistan. It's like, well, of course, like everyone wants that. But then they ignore like 90% of the libertarian platform, which is an even more hellish dystopia than what even the Republicans want at this point.
It's a nothing.
It's the libertarianism is like almost everything that the Republicans would like want to do.
Yeah, if they could.
Yeah. As far as just completely eliminating the welfare state, completely deregulating the free market, just letting corporations do whatever they please. Like, it's the worst platform.
Okay, I'm looking at the Jorgensen website here because I'm just curious, because I don't know much about her. I didn't even know it was a female.
Yes.
So there's that. Let's see here.
Green Party needs better marketing, man.
They need and honestly,
they need better. They need better. Really.
I don't like the singular word green. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I call it like, I don't know what I'd want. Maybe I always thought like something like neat, like referencing like something to make you out of the box. Because when I don't know, maybe like a new progressive party or something like that.
I don't know. I feel like Green Party's already. I think Green Party's already got a little bit of name recognition, though.
True. Yeah.
You can't just like completely rebrand and build a brand new infrastructure from scratch. Even though the Green Party infrastructure is not, up to snuff just yet.
Yeah.
It should have been Jesse Ventura, but no. Any left leaning people don't get honey potted into the Joe Jorgensen libertarian. Like, don't fall for the scam.
Let's see here.
Don't fall for the scam.
So I'm looking at the healthcare section on the Jorgensen website. The latest proposals to, quote, fix healthcare will micromanage your doctors and restrict your access to care while failing to solve the problem. They differ only on whether this should be done by insurance companies or the government. This is the exact opposite of what needs to be done. We can reduce the cost of healthcare 75% by allowing real price competition. That makes no sense. And by substantially reducing government and insurance company paperwork. You know what else reduces insurance company paperwork? Getting rid of private insurance. This will make healthcare affordable for most Americans. You know what else makes healthcare affordable for most Americans? Medicare for all. While reducing the cost of legacy programs like Medicare, Medicaid, and the VA. So you...
Yeah, look at that.
Whoa, wow.
Yeah.
Gee, oh my God.
No, the libertarian utopia
this one hurts.
is a lot like Sparta.
Taxes
where you just,
are never voluntary.
It's a lot like it's Sparta, where you can chuck disabled people off a cliff and you can freely practice man-boy love. Like that's all they want.
What is that old group that South Park used to make fun of?
Nambla.
Nambla. Oh man.
I wouldn't be shocked to find out that every single one of them was a libertarian. It's become a running joke that like libertarians are all about like hemophilia and pedophilia.
To slash federal spending, make government much, much smaller, and let you keep what you earn. You know what else does that? A progressive tax structure.
Yeah. No. So. Oh man, I was just in an argument with a libertarian earlier today.
I can't even read this page anymore.
I'm trying to find what we had talked about.
I'm gonna look at a couple more of these while I'm.
Yeah. It's not good. Don't even bother.
I'm getting converted here.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Are you really?
No. Turn America into one giant Switzerland, armed and neutral. Oh.
Yeah, as if Switzerland doesn't have like a strong safety net. Like it's crazy.
But Switzerland also has compulsory service.
Yeah. Which is pretty authoritarian,
if
you ask me.
I will say though, I do like me some good gun stuff. The Swiss K41 rifles from way back when, some of the best single shot rifles you can get.
And the K-Swiss shoes, nice shoes.
I used to have some K-Swiss tubes. Swiss Army knife.
Ooh. Okay, never mind. I want to be like Switzerland. Let's do it. Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was talking with like a libertarian, and they were talking about like regulation is what the problem with capitalism is, and that when you get rid of regulation, everything becomes voluntary and everything is good and lovely. And
so you can voluntarily subjugate yourself to corporate authority.
Yeah. Well, it's like if you don't, why do we have regulations? You know, it's because it's to protect the consumer. If you don't regulate things, then corporate entities have no obligations other than a fiduciary one to their shareholders.
Correct.
So if they wanted to do something that was cheaper, even at the expense of their workers or at the expense of the consumer, like putting lead in paint or putting asbestos as your
or putting lead in
as
your
water,
insulation, or putting lead in your gasoline,
or putting lead in your gasoline,
lead in
or dumping mercury into the ocean. Like there's a reason that we have regulations that say you can't do that. Is because if you got rid of those regulations, they would do that. That's what they want to do.
That's been. Dude, what is off the top of your head, real quick? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What do libertarians think about the current president in general?
I think that they believe his like environmental deregulations are a success. They are largely against sort of ramping up the drone strikes in the Middle East. It's really the only thing that you can kind of find some middle ground with the libertarian on is their positions on war, which I think if we let a libertarian platform go to its logical conclusion, wouldn't happen because just arms dealers are too invested in keeping war going.
Correct.
Are we coming up on the time here?
Yeah.
All right. We'll get back into my hatred of libertarians.
Yeah, because I want to read
after the break.
this segment here.
Sure.
Because this one's interesting. It's kind of like a non-position position. It's weird. I don't know. All right. Let that upload. Hello. There we go.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, break-wise, that's only a formality because we also record this in audio form, and the tool we use
only lets you record 30 minutes
at a time. So. But it does make it nice for little segmented segments. It makes them easier to title.
Sure. But I guess
when it works,
we're still going to continue.
Yeah, we'll continue
on libertarians for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's an interesting subject because I often think about them.
I don't, or I try not to, but it's like it's so.
Why did it do that?
I don't know. It's the third largest party at the moment, so not. And as the two mainstream candidates continuously become less and less popular, the more likely the libertarian wing will, I don't know, do something. What's going on?
Well, so I'm trying to set it to record.
Sure.
And I'm like, watch what I'm doing here. Like, make sure. Maybe it's because it's trying to upload right now.
Yeah.
Which is why I might be doing that. Because I do want to get into this whole alternative party situation here on podcast.
Yep.
I think it must be because it's trying to upload and it can't handle doing two things at once. It has to be. So I click record.
Sure.
Set it.
What, do you want to give it a second to upload before you record?
I'm going to try this one more time, and then if not, I'm going to wait.
Okay.
Boom. Click once. I click. See, and then it like stops it and immediately goes to the processing.
Okay. Yeah, let's give it a second then.
Okay. That's so odd.
This would be a good time for anybody in the chat if they had any contributions to the discussion. Yeah. Since we're working on getting the audio recorded.
Mm-hmm. Well, the one is processing, so they'll give that a second there.
Sure.
I think my chat's broken. I can't see anything on there.
Yeah, no, that's why I keep it open on my phone.
That's so that I can. You're prepared because I'm not.
Yeah, you're supposed to be a goddamn professional. I wonder if anyone ever watches our like YouTube live stream. So we always get like a couple of viewers on the Twitch.
I don't know.
But I never keep my YouTube one open.
I can pull up the studio app here. And
might be a good time to plug in my phone.
I cannot tell if anybody's watching that or if it's even on there. It uploads right away, I know that. Okay, that's
no viewers.
Oh, well. YouTube's a hard platform to get in the live streaming. They just haven't promoted it at all. Pretty much the only real live streaming platforms are Twitch and Facebook and whatever Twitter, whatever Twitter uses.
If only we didn't need to buy the premium one to do the Facebook live
Interestingly
streams.
enough, there is another platform potentially coming in the future, from what I understand. It's being started by Mixer closed. Did I tell you that?
Oh, you did not? Yeah. No. It's a good thing we never actually tried Mixer.
Well, remember, we had that problem where like Restream wouldn't authenticate to Mixer, and it stopped working. And I should have seen the writing on the wall. And I think the reason is that they were getting ready to
they were all
shutter.
ready?
Yeah. All right.
I don't know. I think Facebook would be I think it'd be a good one to break out into, just because the most mediocre stuff gets so many views.
It's true.
Because it's just such a wide platform.
Yeah.
You know.
Let's get a green screen and break into Facebook. Get an awesome background.
I like my Iron Man and my elephant. I think that's already a good one.
It's like, thanks for your stunning commentary on the apartment. All right, let me try this now.
My elephant rocks. I don't know what you're talking about.
I do like that elephant. solid the Protector vibes.
Yeah. I'm back.
Yes. No.
No.
Yeah, that's the Protector.
It's the same guy, Tony Jaa.
Tony Jaa. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Segment 2. Let's go.
Okay. Back to
this thing. So
shitting on libertarians.
So libertarians, third largest party, is what you were saying before we stopped there. Let's look at. I'm just curious how many libertarians there are registered, if they could even quantify that, because they're not one of the top 2, and a lot they probably don't count them.
Also, their mascot is adorable. Despite every negative thing I've said about libertarians, I like the porcupine.
Oh, did I say hedgehog?
You said hedgehog. It might be a hedgehog. I
think it's a porcupine.
Pretty sure that's a less obscure animal.
What animal would represent the progressives if we had a progressive party?
So there's like a response to that "Don't Tread on Me" flag with the snake, and it's a crocodile that says "Fuck around and find out."
That's awesome.
So I think the crocodile is our logo for some reason.
Have we considered an eagle with a machine gun?
That would be
incorrect.
That'd be a honeypot for Republicans.
Yeah,
I love that shit.
Get him in.
It's got everything I like in it.
And he's got a Budweiser in his left hand. Or a PBR.
It's an eagle holding a Confederate flag and an American flag, and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, wait a second. Okay, so according to my ultimate friend Wikipedia, there are 609,000 registered libertarians in 31 states.
Yeah, they're pretty big.
Ooh, that's smaller than I thought it would be. I think there's
smaller than you thought it would be.
100%. I just thought there'd be at least 2 million, because there are. Because talking back to Green Party, let's look at that. I'm curious about that. Adding in these sources and stuff is actually kind of fun too. It's like send me on a. Okay, there's only 246,000 Green Party.
Yeah, and I think they're 4th, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you are correct. See, the Green Party logo is just a diamond. What is that?
Yeah, they got to switch to the crocodile.
I watch Steven Universe. We can't have no diamonds.
Got to switch to the crocodile, man.
I saw one time that had it was like a moose, like a reference to Teddy Roosevelt,
a
giant moose.
The bull moose.
Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt might have been kind of a bad guy too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had some, breaking up corporations, solid.
Starting the FDA.
Yeah.
No, he's in National Parks program.
Yeah.
No, I mean he's done some good things. I think him on a personal level, I think he was kind of a bad dude.
Yeah, he's a guy.
Well, he didn't like Native Americans.
No, he did not. He's about, I guess that goes to one of those things like the old argument is were they just products of their time, or could they have been better?
I think it's a lot of people are like, it's not fair to judge the past with modern sensibilities, but I don't think that's true. I think you can.
I don't really know if I could consider it judging. I think it's important to view the past through the modern lens to understand. Because if you don't, then you kind of lose the understanding, and that's how you end up with a.
Well, there are always sort of people who are on the right side, though.
Right.
Even when it was not the popular position, I think that's actually more respectable.
Yeah, that's true.
But there were abolitionists who were against slavery before.
Right.
It was a popular position to hold. Those people were right even for their time. John Brown. Fucking legend. Replace every Confederate statue with a statue of John Brown.
100%.
Kansas hero.
I had a conversation. This will be a fun story for you because you'll appreciate this, I think. I had a conversation with a lady. And we were talking about the Confederate monuments, and she made the comment is, why don't they just leave them up? They are part of history. And I said, well, I have some objections to that, and I'll tell you why. So I told her, I said, here's the thing. Most of those monuments were put up either in the 70s as a response to the Civil Rights Act, or the 20s, 10s, or whatever, to affirm Jim Crow laws and all that jazz. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah. They didn't. None of this mattered until people wanted equality, oh, and then she goes, we'll tear them all down then. I was like, there you go.
Yeah, that's sort of the thing about
education.
Statues have never been like a primary source of history.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
I just read a news article earlier that I think in Delaware there was a whipping post that had been they finally tore it down, or they voted to tear it down, and it's like, wait, why would you ever leave that up?
Yeah.
Like,
no, it's because
like,
maybe there's a lot of racists out there. I mean, I just saw a video of them like painting over, like two people are painting over that Black Lives Matter.
Yep.
They
had
it's
Trump
just like
shirts on.
Yeah, and it's like you got to be pretty racist, man. Because I can get behind like you not like thinking that should be there, but like to take time out of your day.
Well, there was the
take
one
time out of your day to go and like buy paint and like a roller, and like it was a lot of effort when you could have just not did that, you know?
Yeah. 100%.
Like that's some like fucking active racism. That's not just like passive, like all lives matter shit. Like that's actually going out of your way to be racist.
Yeah, there was some people too in Florida who did that like 5 times. They painted it back over it 5 times with blue paint.
Oh, yeah, I did see that one too, and it's also
schism.
Yeah, so it's.
Let's see here.
Back to like the statues though. Statues aren't made to teach you history. Like that's what books are for.
Yeah.
Like statues are meant to glorify people.
Right.
Like that's what a statue is. Like, 9/11, never forget. Like we should put a big fucking statue of Osama bin Laden on Ground Zero. They will build so that we don't forget it, right? Like if that's the logic, if it's history, if it's not to glorify them and it's for history, then we should do that.
They will build a monument to your sins. Favorite line from Halo there. I'm not gonna pull that up.
Is that from Halo?
Yeah, it's from Halo. Monument to your sins.
Which one?
All of them.
No, which Halo was that? Did they say that in?
Let me see here. I think it's in 2. The Grave Mind, the Flood. Yeah, the Grave Mind tells them that you will be a monument to all your
I've been
sins.
reading a lot of Halo lore. It's so good.
This is one of the things about it, and why I'm a huge Halo fan. I don't have an Xbox, so I can't play 5 or any of that. But I've always loved the deep lore.
I like it a lot. Like, and some of the stuff's really like kind of inventive sci-fi, like the Hunters, like the Legola. They're like a colony of worms that like
that inhabits
group together. Yeah, it's cool. Like that's interesting.
Yeah, and then there's some good stuff too, like where with the elites and the brutes fighting over who should be in control of the covenant,
or like the history of like the grunts.
Yeah,
like they had like a rebellion because they got tired of being at the bottom,
being in the bottom tier.
The elites had to like put them back in line, but like the grunts actually did a really good job fighting against the elites.
And then and then post main trilogy, there's a lot of good political commentary on like where the human government goes with by building the ship Infinity. Yeah, that's the big ship I think in 4, right? I don't know. And then like how they become more authoritarian and kind of take humans out of the golden age. And then
this is getting off the rails.
Yeah. So libertarians.
Okay. Do you know much about libertarians?
Oh boy, to a point. I know the basic gist is they would be happy if there was no government ever.
Yeah.
And that's about as detailed as I really know about.
No, that pretty much nailed it. Yeah, they believe that like all taxation is theft and that like you should be entitled to keep what you've earned.
Yeah,
and all
high
of this
taxes
stuff
are a punishment.
Well, one, they don't take into account that like your employer's profits are way more theft than taxes are.
Wage theft is the singular largest theft in. I was talking to a truck driver. This is an example of this, who. A lot of trucking companies pay their drivers a base salary. Then they pay them like by weight of what they're hauling, or cases if it's like something like that. And then most of them pay mileage as well. So every mile you drive, they give you an additional incentive. That's why CDL drivers make a good amount of money, and why the threat of automation is so real to them.
Yeah.
Andrew Yang. So, anyways, so I was talking to him, and he was talking about the way that they report their miles. They have some new, like, e-time electronic log or something that does it for them now, so there can't be any mistakes. And he was talking to his payroll person about it, and they said that anytime you make a mistake and it benefits the company, we won't fix it. Yeah. And it's like, wait, what? It's like, I'm pretty sure that's illegal. And then they're like, well, that's why they switched to the new electronic one, because it was happening so frequently. And now they're going to be like, oh, man. Because he's like, I don't want to make accusations, but I'm pretty sure she's funneling that money into herself. Like,
oh, yeah. Oh, probably, absolutely.
And then it also, to me, always went to the idea of think about any job and how much value you generate for a company, and what percentage of that you're actually receiving.
Well, that's the whole thing about, like, profit. Profit is extra money.
Yeah,
like it's money that was produced but isn't going to you. Like nobody would hire you if it were equal. Like if you got everything that you produced and they didn't make any profit off of you, then they wouldn't do that. So like if you work in a factory for minimum wage and produce $1 million worth of goods, but you only take home like less than 20 grand, like the rest of that was stolen from you. Like they benefited from your labor, but you didn't see any of that.
Yeah. So here's the section real quick under environment by Jorgensen. I want to make sure I'm saying that right.
Yes.
Jorgensen. I will work to remove government barriers to replacing coal burning and oil burning power plants in the U.S. with safe, non-polluting, high-tech nuclear power plants and allowing off-grid use of solar power. Fair. Worldwide, we should consider scientific and economic knowledge to care for our environment, not cherry-pick data to support a predetermined outcome. Okay. Most pollution is generated in developing countries, so reducing pollution worldwide requires cost-efficient, zero-emission energy sources like nuclear. I do believe 100 corporations are responsible for most emissions.
I didn't say that.
Nope.
No. Yeah, no. 100 corporations are responsible for like 77% of all climate emissions. Wow. And this idea that she's going to remove barriers, but she's not going to phase coal out by like putting new regulations on coal and oil. Yeah. So there's no reason to believe that they wouldn't just use all of the coal and oil until it's gone.
Do you know what a lot of
before switching
energy companies do as well whenever they build like wind or solar? Even if you don't receive any of that power, a lot of them tack on like a fee to you for generating it. And it's like, okay, thanks for charging me for what didn't cost me anything.
So they believe that if we got rid of tax, well, that's another thing about like wage theft is that taxes supposedly go to like the public good, you know? Like you benefit from your taxes, whether you know it or not. When your boss takes your excess like wages, you don't benefit from that at all. Like you don't get anything out of that.
You would. I gotta look this up here. This is an interesting thing I've never heard of. Sorry. I'm not sure. I didn't mean to get you off the rails on that one. I was reading the Social Security segment, which this is, campaign semi-professionalism right here. Do you trust politicians to keep their promises? I don't.
I don't trust corporations to keep their promises either, though. Oh, someone in the chat said, I hate taxes. Yeah, you know what? We should just abolish money then, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, you with me on this, brother?
Yeah. I do too, but... The bigger issue that I have for taxes was always never getting what I'm supposed to get out of it.
But that's the thing about taxes is that supposedly we live in a democracy.
Correct.
Therefore, you have a say in where your taxes go. Now, that's not every year that becomes more abundantly clear that that's not the case. But you don't have any say in what a private corporation does with their money. So if you got rid of taxes and just let them keep all of the money, well, let's say a boardroom in New York full of like executives makes a decision about their factory in Ohio that they should just dump all of the waste from their factory right into the lake. What do the people of Ohio have as recourse to something like that?
Okay, so this is under Social Security because this is interesting. So long story short, they said I would implement a solution like the Cato Institute's 6.2% solution. which I've never heard of that, so I want to look at that and see what that is. And I'm definitely not qualified to critique.
Thank you. I like that as well.
But I'm going to. Let's see here. Individuals would be privately able to invest 6.2% of their payroll tax through individual accounts. Those who choose to do so will forfeit accrual of Social Security benefits. So what you're saying is investment options for individual accounts will be based on a 3-tier system: centralized pooled collection and holding point, limited series of investment options with life cycle fund as a default mechanism, and wider range of options who...
Is this the best time to be
no
learning all of these things for the first time?
Like none of this seems like necessary.
It's the long con of eliminating Social Security,
of funneling money back into private.
Yes.
Funneling money back into private equity holders. Interesting. We got these actually in like a bundle set off of, I think, eBay. So I couldn't tell you how much the individual mics cost, but I can tell you they are Rockville RMC XLRs. And I don't think they're too expensive individually.
No, I doubt it. I mean, they're not
like Shure SM58s or any of that, which is like your standard like musical recording mic.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got it in a bundle with a recording deck created by PreSonus, which is a Studio 1810, which I gotta say, review wise, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. I've had some technicals with it.
Hey, well, thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm always curious about whether or not they actually sound that good. Like new mics has always been one of the things that I've always wanted to do.
I definitely want new mic stands so I don't have to stack them onto my books.
Yeah,
so
some control arms would be nice. We just
because they're like we have to be like hunchbacked over here.
Yeah. Luckily, I have bad posture anyway, so I can sit forward.
Yeah, no, I have to prop mine up a little bit.
So okay. So with that being said, let's rock into something else here. So they Jazine Maxwell.
Oh,
they got her.
Oh, dude, did you see?
They got her.
I think it was Eric Trump. He posted something on Twitter. He posted a picture of her and Bill Clinton and said like birds of a feather. And then everyone on Twitter just kept replying with pictures of her and Donald Trump hanging out, and he deleted the tweet.
Oh yeah, like what did you think was gonna happen, my dude?
Yeah, like
I know that the FBI I think requested that Prince Andrew come talk to them, and he put out a statement. He's like, I don't know why they'd want to talk to me.
Oh yeah, weird, right? Weird that they'd want to talk to you. Even
so
though you're
incidentally,
riding the Lolita Express, you pervert, you sex pervert.
As people who are longtime listeners of the show will know, we accurately predicted that Jeffrey Epstein wouldn't survive.
Oh yeah, no, watch. Like I think it was like our first or second episode. We absolutely went like, oh, this dude's dying for sure. And I think it's. I don't think it's.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, that was a satire. There's a satire news story that came out saying that she had COVID. She did not have COVID.
How dare you? It ruined my whole bit. We're done.
But yes.
So instantly.
Part of me thinks that they're not going to just kill her because it would be way too obvious. But then another part of me thinks like if they did, like what could we do about it? Like part of me thinks that they're bold enough to just kill her. Yeah.
I think they're not. They're like, we already used our one free pass for that.
Yeah, no, they weren't expecting this. They threw a wrench in their plan. Should we address the chat?
Yeah, we can go and answer that one. Okay, I think we can do a quick one on that
for everyone who's listening audio-wise, we run these streams live on Twitch, and so we can sometimes get interaction from people viewing. And someone in the chat asked, if you don't mind, how do you feel about Trump? I think he's one of the worst human beings to hold power in any capacity. No, and that's not fair because there's been like warlords and things like that. But I definitely think that as far as modern U.S. history goes, I don't think there's anyone who's ever been as ill-equipped, as mean-spirited, and as stupid as Donald Trump.
I think I will answer in this way, because I do stand by this statement. And I have long said that the bitter irony of Donald Trump's presidency is if he would have done nothing, made no changes, just kept his head down and coasted through, he would have went down as the greatest president of all time. But because
he's so dumb.
Yep, he did everything he could. He successfully sank what could have been the easiest presidency ever.
It's very much
super corrupt.
He's
standard criticisms, like ill-equipped, like you said. That's
he's
about where I stand.
Wildly corrupt, almost just like overtly so. The people that he's appointing at every position are probably the people who are the worst people for those positions. Putting Betsy DeVos in charge of education when she had no history with education. It was just that her family had donated millions of dollars to his campaign, so she gets to be Secretary of Education, and has openly expressed wanting to abolish public education. The guy that he just appointed as in charge of public lands has said that he wants to start selling public land.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, of course he does.
And wasn't that one thing that a lot of people were mad about George W. for, was trying to sell off or rent out public lands? Like, didn't he try to do something like that?
I was but a wee lad during a lot of the George Bush presidency. I remember a lot of the bad things. I don't think that it's I think that if Trump were allowed to do everything that he wanted to do, he would be worse than George Bush. But I think that George Bush happened to be the president at like a very crucial time that he was able to completely bungle it. But I think more people died in the hurricane. Which one is the one that hit Puerto Rico?
During Maria.
Maria. I think more people died during that than they did during Katrina. So I think Donald Trump's response to that is worse than George Bush's. Although George Bush has the added negative benefit of having it happen to the continental United States, whereas
there was more Maria deaths.
Yeah, I think Trump handled that really poorly. But George Bush is the one who got us into the war in Iraq, which led to the death of 500,000 Iraqi civilians, if you want to believe our counts, or closer to 1 million Iraqi civilians if we were to believe their count. So he had led to George Bush is responsible for maybe one of the greatest human rights violations of modern history. I don't think that's a controversial opinion with his just disregard for human life in the Middle East. But I think that Trump is I think he's dumber than George Bush was. When Trump speaks, it is so void of content. Like, and the way that he speaks gives us insight into the way that he thinks. And the way that he thinks is that I don't think he does. Is that I don't believe that he has a thought in his head. I think he just shoots from the hip all the time. Yeah. Like, he'll say something and then he just has to finish it in a way that he didn't expect to need to finish the sentence.
Yeah, I think he I've heard the theory that he's like is on something to help him keep focus and whatnot.
Oh, and then like he's on amphetamines.
Yeah.
Oh no, I 100% believe that.
Like a lot of times when his big like gaffes happen and what have you, it's actually him like coming down.
Lapses.
Yeah.
But yeah, you take any 20-minute segment of Donald Trump speaking and it's gibberish. It's nonsense.
Yeah, nonsensical.
It's they flush the toilet. Used to put dishes in the dishwasher, and then there'd be an explosion and steam would come out. Now, no more steam. And it's like, what are you saying? Yeah. It's gibberish. It is nonsense. Yeah. He's like, his CPAC, Chapo Trap House does a really great segment on his CPAC speech, where it was just, if you like are interested in the dementia, just the nonsense of Donald Trump, like watch that, because he's like, there's a time we used to have tariffs. Everything was good. We had tariffs until they came around. You know who they are? You know who they are? I want to use the word, but Melania always goes, don't use the word, Trump. Don't use the word, Don. Don't use it. Should I use it, folks? I'm not going to use it. And it's like, what word? What word, Donald Trump? Like, you're not saying anything. It's gibberish.
Yeah. It's he does, in terms of like supporters and what have you, like he does best when he like people, and he's not checked, like he can just ramble.
Yeah. And it's just
but it's
gibberish.
the same thing, yeah.
But and also like it's almost like for sure that he like raped a child.
Yeah.
And I think like that's already like a disqualifier. I mean, we had known that because he's had 25 rape accusations.
I believe so.
One of them was a 13-year-old girl, and then just like last month, Anonymous released the court papers. And then also he got like 2 16-year-old girls to give him a blowjob. So I mean, like Donald Trump is just kind of the worst human being.
Yeah.
Like, you know. Oh yeah, to answer your next question, how do you feel about people burning the American flag, and how do you feel about BLM? Okay, so there was already a Supreme Court hearing in the 80s about whether or not it was constitutional to burn the U.S. flag. I think that people should have the right to express their discontent with their government in whatever way they feel is necessary. I think that to a lot of people, especially people who the country has been working for, like the kinds of people who go out and say that America is the greatest country in the world, or who, you know, believe in their core that America is the greatest country in the world, because they've been sort of reaping all of the benefits of it. I think that it's hard for them to look at somebody having such discontent with America to the point that they're willing to burn the flag, and your knee-jerk reaction is to be angry about it and be like how dare they, this is the greatest country in the world. And I think that you need to be asking yourself, why do they feel so strongly that they're willing to burn the flag, you know? Because yes. I think that if you looked at the world through their perspective, that a lot of, I don't know if America has ever really been that great to a lot of them, you know?
It all depends on like what metrics you're trying to measure greatness by. But the case you were referring to was Texas versus Johnson, and the Supreme Court did rule 5-4 that it is considered free speech protected by
yes.
First Amendment. So, just in that alone, then does burning a flag, like in the action in itself, does it like make me angry?
And you know, this might be a hot take. I'm not upset by it.
Yeah,
I'm really not. I'm not prone to symbolism. I'm not prone to
I think I agree.
Nationalism, or even like patriotism to a large extent. I feel like America can be a force for good. And I feel like out of all the countries in the world, I probably lucked out in being born in America versus a lot of the world. And these are things that I can acknowledge. But I also think that if you want to look at the largest exporter of terrorism in the world, look no further than the United States. I think that if you want to look at a country that has really subjugated a lot of different people over the years, whether it was Chinese people building the railroads, whether it was slavery, whether it was the Trail of Tears, whether it was Japanese internment camps, whether it was Jim Crow laws, redlining. I think that for a lot of people that weren't white wealthy landowners, I think that American history is a labyrinth of horrors. We're coming up on our break right now, though, so we will be back.
Yeah. And then we do an audio version of this, and our tool that we record with is limited to 30-minute segments.
Yeah,
so we have to, and in the in-betweens, I want to hold on to some thoughts because I don't want to miss them out on the audio version.
Sure. Yeah, I know. I was hoping you would jump in there at some point.
No, I was letting you go because I was listening to what you're saying. And I think, I kind of, because I grew up where I did, I don't know about, how do I want to word it?
Do you want to wait till we're recording?
Yeah, I want to wait till I record. Sure. Oh, see that? No, I was about to say, that one went quick, but it didn't. I scrolled down
messed
on
up
accident.
already?
No, it didn't mess up. I just scrolled down and didn't see. I thought it uploaded already. It didn't.
Okay.
That's
so
okay.
Still waiting on that?
Yeah.
Are you still in the chat, bud? Because I'll also, when we get back to recording, we'll talk about BLM a little bit more.
Yeah. I thought there was this case though.
Yeah. Well, what year was it, by the way? Because I did think it was the 80s. Yes.
Look at that. 89. I'm sorry, 89. It was in response to Ronald Reagan.
Just got in under the wire, baby.
Yep. The dissent was the flags. Justice Stevens said the status of a symbol of unity outweighed symbolic speech concerns, which you can't say to me as a symbol of unity when you're utilizing it to marginalize people. I think flying the Confederate flag is a much...
I mean, that's actively flying a treasonous...
An enemy flag, yeah.
treasonous flag.
Let's see.
Are you back in?
Almost. I can try. I'm going to try it just to see if it does what I want it to do. It worked before. The first couple times, it had no problems. Yeah, that's why. It's because it's processing it. Oh, I think it just finished anyway.
It was quicker than it used to be. Or, I mean, it used to be quicker than it is now. We're used to
Where did...
Is that still processed? Is that it?
That is the second one. This is the singular second one.
Okay.
This one is nothing.
It's nothing. We'll not delete it until we know.
It isn't. It's 0 seconds long. See, they should be like this, 26, 29, 28 or so.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the second one. Very good.
All right, are we back in?
Not quite. I just sifting through the tabs as we do. Yeah, violating.
Sorry for the brief intermission, gentlemen.
Yeah, the tool.
And ladies and non-binary folk alike.
Yeah, anybody who's around, y'all.
Anybody hanging out.
Oh, there it goes.
Just
okay,
chilling.
Let's try this again.
All right, we're getting back to it?
Yes.
Okay.
So, boop. And perfect. So, yeah, like you were saying, I think from a symbolic perspective, I differ in the regard, I'm very proud to be an American. And I think my pride in doing so, number one, comes from a more, how do I word this? Optimistic outlook that eventually we will become the America we were taught about in schools. Does that make sense? Is that a good way to put it? It's we talked about how
the ideal, the ideals of America is a bastion of freedom. The words on the Statue of Liberty,
that we're the ultimate force for good. Things like that. Nobody starves here. And that's what I want from America. I want America to become, or I want the United States to become the country I was told about as a kid.
I'd like the U.S. to be a country that no one even wants to burn the flag because it's so great for everybody.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it too. It's everybody was so mad about, what you said about, and that's what I wanted to agree with you on, was nobody wanted to say, why did you burn the flag? Or nobody wants to ask, why did you burn the flag? They're just mad at the actual act. Like with Kaepernick, we talked about in the last episode that's not uploaded yet. Nobody cared about why he kneeled.
Yeah,
They just wanted to be mad about it.
The spin was immediate, where they were like, "This is against the troops."
Of course, Donald Trump didn't help that. That was a lot of that was him, because the first tweet that came out is, "What are you doing on the field?" and and all that, and that spun it out into a big thing.
And that also needs to go into this idea of like a protest is meant to be inconvenient. You can't have like a protest that is just the most polite thing in the world. Like, it's not a protest anymore. So when you ask, why he would do it during the national anthem, or why he would do it before a game, because he has a platform, because he has an audience, because he can get his message out to the most people at the most time. Mm-hmm. If he did it in the locker room by himself alone, nobody would know what cause he was championing. So
and that's the whole point of like you said, a protest is you have to be able to get your message across, and if you're not, then what are you even doing? And it's like, like going into Black Lives Matter here. Like
Are you finished about the first half of the question?
I think so. I think that about wraps it up. I like
about how you feel about burning the American flag.
It's like,
is it distasteful? I can see it in certain audiences being distasteful. I can understand
why you would be upset. Yeah. Like, I get that.
Oh no, yeah. Like, especially people who are like I come from 3 generations of military. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not like, but I also don't believe that. I don't think anyone goes to war for a flag, and I don't think that you could. I think anybody in modern military joined for the benefits. I don't know how many of them, how many veterans. I know a lot of veterans. I don't know how many of them sign up for the military because they really believe that what we're doing in the Middle East is good. I think a lot of them join to get free college.
I've often called the military the singular largest social program we have.
Yeah,
and it's true, because like you said, people join for the benefits. We'll pay your college, we'll get you out of where you're at. You just have to do what we ask you to for a few years.
So
rephrase that: do what we tell you to do.
Yeah,
there's no asking.
So moving into BLM, I don't think it's a controversial statement to say that Black Lives Matter. I don't feel like it should be.
Right. I do know why people oppose it. So verdantly.
Yeah. Well, I saw a thing that said, if Black Lives Matter upsets you because you think that all lives matter, but Blue Lives Matter doesn't upset you, even though it is also exclusionary.
Yeah.
Then obviously the thing you took issue with was the word black.
The term all lives matter too, by the way, was created in response to Black Lives Matter. And there is on Google, that term was never searched for prior to, was it Trayvon Martin or was it Ferguson when
Black Lives Matter started, or when it was more popular?
When it started.
I think Trayvon came first.
I think so. I believe so.
Ferguson, I think, really brought it into the forefront. Ferguson was in 2015, wasn't it?
I think so.
It's been a while, man.
Might be 14.
And I remember seeing that a poll showed that only 10% of the population viewed BLM favorably during Ferguson. Now that number's up to 50 something percent.
I was listening to and I have a feeling too, real quick, I'm going to throw this out there, that I feel like the question with BLM is more how do you feel about the riots? That's because thanks to the mainstream media, that's what most people defer their thoughts to about it as well. And it's
they've conflated the two.
Yeah, they've made them mutually exclusive to each other. Most of anything rioting or looting, in my opinion, and with good reason to believe so, was started by the police and bad faith actors.
So yeah, there's definitely a lot of evidence to suggest that it was the police themselves that were starting a lot of the damages and violence, and also you can see that it's a lot of white folk that are looting and rioting as well.
2015.
But I also feel like that narrative sort of discredits the idea that some people couldn't be legitimately upset to the point that they felt like they needed to just tear some shit up, because I do feel like that that pain and that anger, sometimes you just want something else to feel it too.
Yep.
You know,
Well,
someone needs to answer
too,
for the hurt that you're feeling right now.
And this goes to, like, just like what I said, in the America that we believed existed, like, this stuff doesn't happen. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those weird ones. You know, in general, you know, I support Black Lives Matter 100%. I've been to a couple marches. Yeah, there's just so many things that need to be done at this point. It's ridiculous. And, like, if you think the protests are bad now, like, this is mostly around BLM. But, like, it's going to get worse, number one, because people keep driving into protesters for some reason.
Yeah, I actually just saw that video, too. I wasn't.
The Seattle one was rough because they drove purposely around many police barricades.
Yeah, like, to intentionally kill somebody.
To do it.
But I'm not big on watching videos where people die. I'm not big on watching snuff films. I ran into that on accident. And
I watch them because I think it's kind of like from like that real news segment. I think it's important to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And seeing it point blank is the only way to do so. But I understand, though, if people don't. Like, a lot of people can't handle that. I have a lot of friends who are supporters.
I just don't like it.
Yeah. I have a lot. I don't like it. I'm just saying that.
No, I'm not saying that. It's something that I
dare you.
I know what it is, and I don't want. You don't
need it reaffirmed.
I'm already on board. You know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't something I need to see to feel a certain type of way. You take a human's life, like, I'm on board with whatever you feel like we need to do about it. Like
the real pro-life.
Real pro-life.
Yeah, that real pro-life. Ending police violence. That's the other thing too, is like the other counter argument with like BLM is always like, well, why don't we march when white people are killed? It's like, we should. BLM does a lot to work with that too. Mm-hmm. Actually, I'm starting to see the rounds of the posts of God, who was it? There's so many I can never keep them straight anymore. It's like it's like a 14-year-old autistic kid who was shot and killed or something like that.
14-year-old autistic kid. A white kid?
Yeah. I'm seeing his posts make the rounds again because the guys were arrested, but they were released eventually from jail.
There was also like a 7-year-old kid that got shot.
Yeah.
There's that one where there's another video of a white dude who died the same way that George Floyd did, with a knee to his neck.
Yes, I remember him.
So I think that what people who say like all lives matter do, or people who post things like that, like, oh yeah, well, didn't their life matter? I think that their lives mattered, and that you should protest instead of just using their death as like a political prop to discredit Black Lives Matter. Because that's all that you're actually doing. If you're just doing that as a response to the way that BLM is mobilizing against police brutality, and then you post something like that and like, well, nobody's protesting for this guy. Well, then do it. Do it.
Yeah, call us up.
Police brutality is an issue regardless of who it happens to.
Mm-hmm.
No, it seems to happen disproportionately to black people, and it seems that when that does happen to black people, nobody is held accountable. Because there was that black officer who shot that white lady in her car.
Oh yeah,
and I'm pretty sure he got arrested immediately.
Yep.
So this idea, because it happens even when it's not cops, but like, I guess the guy who shot Ahmaud Arbery was a retired cop.
Yeah.
But he didn't get arrested right away.
Nope. They actually covered it up.
They hunted a man down and killed him.
This is one too. I have a right-leaning friend who doesn't really get on board with a whole lot, but we were discussing this very case, Ahmaud Arbery, and he's like, well, of course they always throw it out. He shouldn't have been doing anything wrong. I was like, he was jogging. He
wasn't doing anything wrong. And then they were trying to like say that like a black guy that met his description was hanging out in an abandoned house. Okay.
Yeah.
Or like a house.
It wasn't even an abandoned house. It was
that was under construction. Yeah.
Which you can go look at construction houses.
Yeah.
Like even if he was there, it wasn't illegal for him to be there.
It wasn't illegal for him to be there. And then even the like contractors building the house were like, yeah, nothing's missing or anything.
Yeah.
Like, he just walked in to see a house that is being built, and it's something that's just like, that's just something that people should like. I don't think that like a little white lady, like a little blonde haired like lady who was out jogging and was like, oh, that looks interesting, like let me go check it out. I don't think she would have been hunted down, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that these guys would have rolled up in their trucks and shot her.
Yeah,
if she did.
And it's really funny too, because like I said, they covered it up. If you didn't know that, like the shooting itself happened in like January, and like the stuff didn't come out until like April, if not a much wider gap. And the DA refused to prosecute because they knew him, that he was a former cop. And then the video that came out was actually released by the third guy because he thought it would help them.
That would help their case. No, it's
like,
but you know,
wow.
like good for him for being an idiot.
Yeah. Well, you know,
but
oh boy.
Yeah.
So needless to say, you know,
we have earlier.
I have a question too. So I've often heard the term. I was watching a video the other day of a Black Second Amendment rights group that were helping. I saw that too. Did you see it's a guy and he's like, "Why are you out here with you?" The reporter's like, "Why are you out here with your guns?" And he's like, "How come you're not asking why the Confederates are over there with their guns?" Yeah. Have you seen that video?
I haven't seen that one.
That one's really good. I really appreciate it. And he was talking about shit. Why did I get on this segue? Something in this video I wanted to share. Oh, anyway, I'm sorry. So he's talking about people marching with them and how like like when white people and other races join with Black Lives Matter, you know, that they appreciate that a lot. But if you're empty rhetoric doesn't mean anything if you don't come out and actually support them. Yeah. And then he said, you know, if you're a white ally, we stand, we're happy to have you stand with us. And then I thought, would that be an interesting hashtag to get started? Hashtag white ally? Or does that sound like
sounds a little bit of co-op?
Is that a little rough? Yeah.
Well, it's a little bit of like patting yourself on the back kind of thing.
I didn't think it was appropriate. I just one of those things that I thought about. I was like, that would be kind of neat.
I think it would come off as like one of those like tone deaf things.
Because like it was like with the Black Panthers, there was a guy who started a White Panthers. Is in a show of solidarity, and it was one of those things where I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that.
I think with certain movements, you got to kind of defer to who the movement is affecting.
Correct.
Like if I'm a dude and I want to go to like the women's march, like I shouldn't like co-opt it and be like, hey, like male ally here, like let's do what I say, Like I feel like we should. If it's a movement for a specific cause, I feel like you should be there and be like, hey, I'm here with you. I might not be able to feel your pain, but I'll match your energy. Like, what do you need from me? Like, what do you want me to do?
How can I support you? Yeah, which is what I'm about.
Like, where's the best like thing that I can do for you? Because there was like a while ago.
Yeah, and I am sensitive to co-opting the movements too, because even talking about incorporating like Black Lives Matters to a point, like in the workers' rights movement and whatnot, labor movement, because it all ties together.
I'm hoping that sort of happens organically, but I'm also not like trying to like nudge it into that direction or anything like that, because if Black Lives Matter wants to be a criminal justice reform movement, then that's what it is. It's not up for me to be like, no, we should make this a little bit more like socialist.
The way I always looked at it too was like, it's like after your flames start to sort of lose their strength, it's like, let me add some wood to that fire. It's like, let's go. I agree with that, which is number one. I've never tweeted that out. Disclaimer, it's a random thought that crossed my mind. And sometimes I feel like those random thoughts are worth sharing.
No, absolutely. I think that if you started your own like protest organization, like a Workers United movement, and you wanted to be like showing solidarity to BLM and march alongside it, like Workers United with Black Lives Matter, I think that's something that's okay to do.
Awesome.
But I don't think that like
I shouldn't be calling the founders of Black Lives Matter and be like, hey.
And I've seen a lot of like agendas of the things that Black Lives Matter want to do, and it does extend beyond simply criminal justice reform. I think there is a lot of like social consciousness in there that's trying to like be a more like workers shaped movement. So I think that if we were to start like a Workers United like thing, I think that we could get Black Lives Matter to like protest alongside with us, sort of thing. Start like an Occupy Wall Street 2.0.
Yeah. I've often seen the biggest problem with Occupy Wall Street was they never got their message out there. Like, they were beaten before they started.
They tried, though.
Yeah, I know they tried. I'm just saying, like, and social media wasn't as powerful back then either. Yeah. Back then, and I think the whole 9 years ago when they were a thing.
I think it fizzled out a little bit too. Like,
yeah.
Because by design there was no leadership in it.
Obama
It was a very decentralized. Yeah, and then Obama kind of gave people hope that things were going to get better.
Well, I think So, there's a quote here I think I want to find real quick, and I don't want to read it wrong, but it's from Cornell West about Obama during the Occupy times. I want to find that real quick.
But like an interesting point is that the Black Panthers were a socialist organization.
Yeah.
They advocated for armed socialist rebellion. So, I don't think that it's outside the realm of possibility to think like BLM would be in support of like a united workers movement.
Yeah. So, we work vigorously for the freedom and justice for Black people, and by extension all people.
Yeah.
So that's from the Black Lives Matter website.
I think that if we were to look at a lot of these systemic problems that Black people are facing, I think that a lot of those would be solved by a more social democratic like policies.
Yep, I agree with that.
If we look at discrepancies within like the healthcare industry, or if we look at like how and there's been a lot of
literal rising tide raises all ships.
Yeah, there's been a lot of articles written about the discrepancy in like COVID deaths in relation to Black people.
We had a conversation too about that too, how systemic racism affects Black people and people of color.
Yeah, and it's hard. I think that's why white people are so primed to like right-wing populist movements, though, is because as a white person who's poor, it is hard to grasp sort of the concepts of white privilege, or the see to be a poor white person and also not be successful in life. Because that's the thing, is that like everybody in the working class is struggling.
I've seen a lot of those memes getting shared around, like I'm still waiting for some of this privilege that I was promised. And it's like hold on now.
I've seen another post that was like, I know it's hard to understand white privilege when you've amounted to so little despite of it.
That one hurts. That stings.
but no,
maximum factor on that one.
I feel like that's where a lot of the like unfavorability of programs like affirmative action come from. Like a poor white dude seeing like colleges try to fill racial quotas, and they think like, oh, like what the hell, like I don't get that kind of benefit. One, affirmative action, more than any minority group, has helped white women. If you look it up, like statistically, white women have been the biggest recipients of affirmative action. But so that's why I think something like a universal program, like making college affordable for everybody. Not affordable. I don't know why I'm like co-opting like weak ass Democrat. Making state colleges free for everybody.
Because I'm conscious of that, because I talked about earlier how we were talking about like how using access to healthcare is like a term that they use to not do it. It's one of those things. The problem is it's one of those phrases that like it's what you want. It is, but it's the reality of it behind it is something entirely different.
For something to be affordable. And I said it earlier in the stream, when something has a price point, no matter what it is, no matter how low it is or how accessible it is, somebody is going to get left out. So, yeah.
Well, that's what makes like universal programs universal. It's like the argument of like when people say like when you pass a universal income, why do rich people get it? It's like, I get why you're saying that, but it's because it's universal.
Yeah.
And they can opt out of it.
Yeah, and which they wouldn't.
They won't.
But
so,
a rich guy would would kill like a puppy for 10 cents.
Damn, dude.
I don't think that like if you look at just like what they're willing to do to just get
honestly
to squeeze as much money out of anybody that they can.
From like a psychological perspective, like if you really stop and think about this, like
they've done worse for less.
Like yeah. like the personality qualities that like people who are loaded share, like it wouldn't shock me at all.
No, the system isn't meant to work for anyone who isn't a sociopath.
No, it's that social incentive, and it's one of the things I've always I've done thought on it, and I need to do more deeper work. But like Harris talks about the social incentive structure, and right now, society effectively incentivizes you to do terrible things.
Incentivizes greed.
Yeah,
like because the thing is that if you want to think about what it takes to be sort of a careerist mentality kind of person, like everyone has experience of working with somebody who is solely focused on climbing the ladder, right?
Oh yeah.
And like what do those kinds of people do? They would like rat out their coworkers anytime
people,
anytime somebody did something, they would immediately go to the supervisor and tell on them. Or like just kiss their boss's ass constantly, like laugh at all their fake jokes and like oh you're so smart,
you're so
and blah,
funny,
blah. Like just kissing the boss's ass and selling out their fellow workers.
Well, that's that prisoner's dilemma, man.
and those are the people though that when like a promotion opens up, like they're the ones who get it.
Yeah, in my sales territory is a direct result of something like that. They made so many moves into my territory that makes no sense from both a dollarage perspective and a workload perspective, but the guy did it to quote save company money, and then he got promoted because of it.
Yeah.
So you
know what I'm talking about.
I know what you get. I know what you're screaming at me here.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting one. All right.
Cool. We were talking about what's her name?
We were talking about Maxwell a little bit, and I don't know what will come of that. I know AOC put out a statement, apparently the only person, saying like there better be like things in place to make sure the same thing that happened to Epstein doesn't happen to Maxwell, because I heard they moved her into the same prison where they had Epstein.
Already off to a good start.
Same floor, same room. I don't know about that, but
so
it is the same facility.
We nailed it on the Epstein thing, but I think a lot of people saw that one coming. Do you think it'll happen again?
Yes.
Do you really?
Oh yeah, I really do.
All right.
I 1,000%.
I think it'd be too bold. It'd be too bold.
I think at this point and how the donor class and all that has been enabled, I don't think it's beyond them now. There was
because they saw they could get away with it.
Here's a very good point. How many missing activists are there right now? Like there was the one famous one from like a week ago where they put them in an unmarked car and drove off. Unmarked police, and then people are asking about it, and they're like, "We don't have any info for you." Did you see any of that?
I didn't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh boy, get ready for a ride. I'm gonna pull this up.
Oh no!
But yeah,
is this gonna ruin my day?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's. I don't know. I just feel like it'd be too on the nose if they did it again.
Let's see here if I can find the article. Undercover San Diego police rush protester into unmarked van. Let's see here.
She's missing?
Video of police officers and then if you follow us, you'll get the 45-second clip posted on Twitter. After the woman was forced into the van, one of the officers dressed in tactical gear yells at the woman's companions, "If you follow us, you'll be shot. Do you understand?" And then this is an unmarked car. The protesters are yelling, "Who are you? Who is this?" And then there was a follow-up article that the police haven't released any information on who she was. And she's like, I think she's now missing.
That's nutty, man. But again, it's like those 8 Ferguson protesters that got killed.
Mm-hmm.
Like that shit happens, man. It's crazy. This is like the fucking Kremlin, dude.
Oh yeah, if you don't think they're bold enough to just do it right now, I 100% disagree in that regard. They could. They could.
What would happen if they did?
Nothing. What happened after Epstein? they cleaned out his island and took all the files and disappeared. Like it's straight up. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't know, but like, what could we do if that happened again?
Launch an inquiry, congressional investigation.
I have to think like the FBI is not in on it because they wouldn't have arrested her in the first place.
I don't think so. I honestly think that for the most part, the FBI tries to do their job and shut down important criminal cases.
But this might be like above them, right?
Yeah, like
it's like who was that lawyer that negotiated that really sweet deal with Epstein?
Oh.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know.
His name Alexander.
Let me see, Epstein lawyer.
Yeah. But apparently, when somebody asked him about it, he said that he was told that Epstein was intelligence, and it was above his pay grade. No. It wasn't Dershowitz.
I'm sorry. I just typed in Epstein lawyer.
Yeah.
I also read a thing.
He's the one who got him like the sweetheart deal earlier because he was arrested for the same thing.
Let me see here. Yeah. Timeout. Epstein's defense lawyers included Roy Black, Gerald Lefcourt, and Dershowitz, and Ken Starr.
I think it was the prosecutor.
Oh, the prosecutor.
Yes.
Ooh. Let me see here. Timeout.
He was.
Let's see.
I don't think it'll be on there.
Let me look at it. I can find it.
But then he ended up getting a position in Trump's cabinet too.
Oh, it was the dude from the Department of Labor. That was that guy became the Trump's like Secretary of Labor or something like that. Oh my Lord, this is so difficult.
Acosta, that's it. Alexander Acosta. Yeah, I got the first name right.
There you go.
But yeah, when like he was pressed upon like why he gave him such a light sentence, he was like, yeah, I was just told that Epstein was intelligence and that he was above me.
Yeah, so it's like, you know what though? This is the one thing that I think we're one headline away from like a true national emergency. In terms of all these economic things going on, and Epstein, when we see somebody like Bezos or Amazon hire their own personal army, that's when it's really gonna go down. Like
that's when you know.
I've often said like, because there was like talks a long time ago too, like of like talking about things that are just above everybody. Like I think not Eric Trump, but not Kushner, but the guy who founded Blackwater, who's married to one of the Trumps.
Is he?
Yeah. Eric Prince.
I don't know, man. Arm up, brother.
Eric Prince. No, everybody should exercise their Second Amendment rights. I break away from all liberals in this one.
I have a hard time believing that like right wingers aren't going to side with the government.
Oh, they're not. They keep showing up at protest rallies like they won't.
All right, break time.
Yeah, break time. I've always this is one of those ones too. This doesn't need to be on the podcast, but like I think we've talked about it before. Like I've always hidden my view on gun rights because being in the Democratic Party, like it's an unpopular take.
Yeah,
and so I really don't talk about it as much because of that. But then I found out that a lot of leftism and
a lot of
stuff like that are actually like super into it, and I'm like, oh, cool.
Because that's
this guy Eric Prince.
That's the thing about just gun rights is that I used to be like a real anti-gun lib dude because I was seeing like the United States was the only country where these fucking mass shootings were happening constantly.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Betsy DeVos's brother is the founder of Blackwater. And he was tweeting about privatizing the military for a while.
Oh yeah, they want to privatize everything, bro.
Everything, yeah, anything. That's what the game Army of Two is about. little known video game.
No, I played the hell out of Army too.
Oh, dude, I loved the first one. Second one,
I
first
played
one was great.
both.
I did play them both. Second one was kind of whatever. First one, fantastic. Loved it.
I like the second one too.
I have a buddy of mine to this day will still scream back to back, like back to back.
It was pretty dope, man.
It was fantastic. I loved it, man. Always, we should sprinkle more video game references into this. That'd be a fun idea for some like produced videos as well, like
too?
not that necessarily, but like break down video games on their political ideas. Like that'd be fun.
I think that'd be a unique market that I don't think has been tapped into.
I can't think of any channels that actively do that. It's just something I thought about once too. So like we talked about Halo and stuff earlier. And
are you ready to like wrap it up after this segment, you think?
Do you want to end it here? We can end it on this one, or we can record one more.
We can go a little bit. We may not have to. We don't have to do the whole thing or not.
The only thing we haven't talked about right now is Kanye. Oh, you have to work tomorrow too, I bet, don't you?
I do. Are you off tomorrow?
Technically, but I have to get up at like 6 and drive to Wichita.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I gotta be at work tomorrow.
I say, we can end it on this one too if you want.
I'm alright with that. We can talk about Kanye presidency next stream because we're gonna be on Thursday again, right?
Yeah, that's
okay.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't get on this one, number one, is my days go super long. Let's end the stream here real quick before we.
Thank you for everyone for getting in, for watching, getting in the chat.
Love the discussions.
Wish more people would chime in sometimes.
Yeah, and have good.
Yeah.
I made no sensible comments.
You said that's good.
Guttural sounds.